These are the top 5 hidden costs you need to know before you buy a synthesizer. Well, kind of 6, but you gotta watch the end of the video to see what I mean. Every hobby or purchase you make is going to come with unexpected costs. Think about when you buy a car, and even though there's an out-the-door number, it doesn't include things like your registration fees or gap insurance. When it comes to synthesizers, what percentage would you expect to pay in little accessories and knickknacks along the way? 10%? 15%? 25%? What if I told you you could spend 100% the price of 2 new synthesizers in hidden and unexpected costs? Don't believe me? Let me show you how quickly this could happen to you. For this example, we're going to use a first-time synthesizer buyer, maybe a teenager who wants to play synths with their band, or they want to get a couple of synths to add on to their current DJ setup. The emphasis is on them being a beginner and on them wanting to actually play live with a couple of synthesizers. We're going to use a beginner for 3 reasons. First, a beginner has a smaller budget most of the time because they're not fully bought into the hobby yet and they have to buy everything all at once. Second, they're not going to be buying high-end audiophile preamps for their interfaces. And third, they're going to be getting a setup that kind of covers all their bases, but it's still pretty simple. Just to be clear, I'm not going to be counting in the hidden costs of this video things like laptops, mixers, speakers, and hardware sequencers. Those are all things you might need to play live. But for this video, the hidden costs are only coming from a bare minimum setup. I'm going to be looking at the costs of prices on Sweetwater at the time of this recording, but really it's all hypothetical just to give you an idea of how expensive the hidden costs of buying synthesizers really can be. On Sweetwater right now, the cheapest digital polysynth that you can get that has an actual keybed you can play on is the Yamaha Reface CS virtual analog synthesizer for $450. I thought that would pair well with something like the Behringer Crave, which is one of the cheapest analog mono synths you can get on Sweetwater right now that looks like it would be a lot of fun to tweak. So you've sort of got this classic beginner combo of digital polysynth so you can actually play chords, and then an analog mono synth that you can twiddle the knobs on and have a lot of fun with the sequencer. So $450 for the Reface CS plus $200 for the Crave is $650 in synthesizers so far, which I think is a really great budget-friendly 2-synth setup for a first-time beginner synthesis. First hidden cost of buying synthesizers you might not have thought of is cables. So for these synthesizers to actually make sound, we're going to have to get some instrument cables to go from the synthesizer either into an audio interface or a mixer. And because our synthesist wants to play live, I think 20-foot cable is a really good option where it's not too long, but it's not too short either. The Reface CS is a stereo synth, so we're going to need 2 cables for that, and the Crave is a mono synth, so we're going to need 1 for that. The cheapest 20-foot instrument cables on Sweetwater right now are these Rapco Horizon cables for $15 a piece. So before we can even hear what these synthesizers sound like, we're going to need $45 in instrument cables to get the sound out of the synths. And don't even get me started on whatever the fuck this shit is. But we're also probably going to want to have some MIDI cables so we can actually use MIDI with these synthesizers. MIDI cables being, if you don't know, basically the way that synthesizers can talk to one another. For instance, we might want a cable going out of the Reface CS going into the laptop. That way we can trigger samples or VST instruments. Or we might want a cable coming out of the audio interface going into the Crave. That way we can run sequences out of the laptop or maybe a hardware sequencer and control the Crave that way. And it would be great to sync all of these instruments up to the same master clock. That way the arpeggiators and sequencers and effects can all be in time with one another. And so let's say we're going to need 2 MIDI cables. I would actually prefer 4, that way we could run MIDI in and out of each instrument. But for budget-friendly reasons, let's just say we need 2. So maybe running MIDI into the Crave and out of the CS. Right now on Sweetwater, the cheapest 20-foot MIDI cables are these HOSA cables for $16 a pop. And if you add that in to the 3 instrument cables we're going to need, we have a total of $77 in cables just to get started. The second hidden cost of buying a synthesizer is you're going to need an audio interface. Now you could go DAW-less, but that would be even more expensive. So for budget-friendly reasons, let's just say the best way for our beginner synthesis to get started is with an audio interface into their laptop. And remember, we're not counting things like laptops in this analysis of hidden costs. So the cheapest audio interface that I would recommend on Sweetwater right now is the PreSonus Audio Box for $99, but there's a problem. problem. The audio box has only 2 inputs, and the Reface CS has 2 outputs because it's a stereo synth, and the Crave has an additional output because it is a mono output synth. So we actually need 3 inputs, plus we need MIDI in and out for those MIDI cables we bought so we can hook those up to the synthesizers. So all in all, the cheapest audio interface on Sweetwater right now that will accommodate our needs is actually the Behringer Euphoria for $179. So all in all, we've spent $256 so far on an audio interface and cables, and those are, by the way, the cheapest ones we can get on Sweetwater right now. Third hidden costs of buying a synthesizer are stands. Now, our beginning synthesist is going to need something to put these synthesizers on when they're playing live. Right now, the cheapest 2-tier stand on Sweetwater is this Hercules stand for $138, and $138 is a non-trivial amount to spend on the thing your synthesizers sits on. Now, if you're just going to be playing with your synthesizers at home, maybe you just set them on a desk or something. But again, going back to our user case example, our beginner synthesis wants to play out live. Quick side note, people ask me a lot of the times what stands I actually use in my synth dungeon here. And these amazing stands are Standtastic 103K S's that I got from Sweetwater. Big shout outs to my boy Jim Daniker. He's got the most aesthetic studio ever, and he's the one who recommended these to me. They are really great if you want to have a bunch of synthesizers set up like this against the wall. They look so much better than the competition stands because they really hide behind the synths. You just get to see the synths. Right now you can see the 2 that are missing up there. There's a little gap, but normally it just looks very aesthetic. So to derail off of our topic for a second and just talk about how much I've spent in stands. Each Standtastic 103KS costs $268.75, but I get an extra tier set. That way I can fit 4 synths per stand instead of the 3 that come with it for an additional $49, which totals out to be $317.75 for each 4-tier stand. Now divide that by 4 synthesizers, and that means that these stands cost about $79 per synth. So to support all of my vintage synthesizers, I have 5 Standtastics in this room, as well as an Ultimate Support Apex for $259, totaling up to a staggering $1,848 I've spent on just the keyboard stands in this room, also known as the cost of a Moog Matriarch. I have never calculated this before, and I am going to throw up. Oh, great, Vangelis, it's getting hot up in here. I feel sick. So yeah, luckily, our beginner synthesizer hasn't completely spiraled into a vintage synthesizer addiction like I have, and they only need a 2-tier $138 stand for their 2 new synths. Okay, so far we've spent $77 in cables, $179 on an audio interface, $138 on a stand for a total of $394 of hidden costs. Next up, the 4th hidden cost of buying a synthesizer is repairing it. This is a hidden cost because no synthesizer is going to last forever, and if you're gigging out your synths, it doesn't matter how much you baby them and protect them, eventually an accident's going to happen and one of them is going to get a little banged up. This is especially true if you're like me and you like buying vintage synthesizers, because every vintage synth is basically a ticking time bomb that's going to need to be serviced sooner than later. My experience with synth repairs is that if you have to open one of those bad boys up, even if it's just to replace one sticky key or something like that, you can more or less count on spending at least $100. And I don't begrudge that price. A lot of the cost is just the time it takes into actually disassembling the entire synthesizer. And a pro tip is if you need to have upgrades done or additional repairs, if you could do them all at the same time, you can usually get a much better price from a synth tech because they don't have to open it up and put it back together, open it up and put it back together. They can save time and do all the repairs and upgrades at once, and then you get to pay less money. So, pro tip. Going back to our example of a beginner synthesis, let's say over the course of a few years of playing out shows, eventually a cocktail gets spilled on one of the 2 synths and they're going to have to spend $100 getting that synthesizer repaired. Next up, we have the most overlooked hidden cost of buying a synthesizer. This is the one that I see people really not factoring into when they buy a new synth. But before we get there, real quick, take a second and hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It makes a huge difference. So the number 1 most overlooked hidden cost of buying a synthesizer is the resale value. At the exact moment our synthesis bought these 2 synthesizers from Sweetwater, their value has gone down. Let's fast forward a few years. They've played a lot of gigs, they've spilled a drink on a synth, got it repaired, and now they're ready to upgrade their setup. Maybe to something like a Dreadbox Typhon and a sequential Take 5, let's say. They go to sell their synthesizers on Reverb and find out the hard way that they are not going to get nearly as much for their synths as they might have been expecting. To illustrate this, let's look at the Obi X8, which is an incredible analog polysynth, the flagship from the new sequential Oberheim company. At the time of this recording, the OBX8 released exactly 1 year ago, and when I looked at the prices for sold listings on Reverb, I was absolutely floored. Right now, from Sweetwater, an OBX8 costs $5,000, but routinely on Reverb, they are selling for $3,820, $3,850 in mint condition, which is a depreciation of 24%. That is a huge amount for the value to come down off of a synthesizer this new and this incredible. I am blown away that these things have fallen so far in value so quickly, considering they are such an incredible synthesizer. But the truth is, a lot of them are selling at this price point only a year later. Side note, now wouldn't be a bad time to get a used OBX8 if that's something you're interested in. Anyways, when I researched the Yamaha Rephase CS depreciation value, it's actually a little bit more than 25%, but to keep it nice and round numbers, let's use 25% is how much less our beginner synthesist is going to get back in value when they go to sell their synths. So they paid $650 for these two synths, and if you multiply that by a quarter, you get $162.50 that they are not going to get back when they sell these synthesizers. And that's not counting packing materials and shipping costs and all of that stuff. So let's review, shall we? Our beginner synthesist spent $450 on a Yamaha Rephase CS and $200 on a Behringer Cray for a total of $650 in synthesizers. We then had to buy $77 worth of cables, $179 worth of an audio interface, $138 worth of a two-tier stand, $100 in repairs for the careless drink incident, and then when they go to sell the synths, they take it in the shorts to a total of $162.50, equaling out to a total of $656.50 in hidden and unexpected costs when they bought their two synthesizers, also known as a little bit more than 100% the cost of the synths they bought. Now, it's not all doom and gloom. Our beginner synthesist was able to sell their synths for $487 that they can apply towards buying new synths, plus they can reuse the cables, the stands, the audio interface, all of that stuff, so they don't have to buy that with their next set of synthesizers. But it is truly shocking when you start to think about how much money goes into the peripheral stuff around synthesizers and not just the cost of the actual synths. I think it's super important that people remember to factor in costs like this when they figure out how much money they're going to spend when they're buying their next hardware synthesizer. I made this video in part to address a common theme I see in the comment section of my Best Synthesizer of the Year videos, where commenters seem to take umbrage with the fact that I am so focused on price when I discuss buying synthesizers. There's a certain kind of synth geek that I would count myself among that is so focused on the sound of synthesizers that they don't care that a Mini Moog costs $5,000. They're just like, I want it because it sounds so great. But the thing is, I make those videos and videos like this one for beginners who are not acquainted with the market, because I want beginners to be able to make intelligent choices with their money and not get in over their heads. It's so easy to forget as a veteran synthesist, because we got plenty of cables and stands and audio interfaces galore, how expensive it is when you first start off in this hobby. So it tends to be, for example, a synthesizer like the Arturia Polybrute, which is an incredibly gorgeous sounding analog polysynth with some really unique features. I'm probably not going to mention that synth in any of my best of synth videos because its price point is above the rest of the market when it comes to their feature set. If you're looking for an analog poly, there are cheaper options out there that will get the job done. That doesn't mean the Polybrute isn't a good synth or a great synth if that's what you really want, but I don't want a beginner to feel like they have to spend the amount of money a Polybrute costs to be able to get into the synthesizer game. I want them to know there's a lot of really great options out there for you that are reasonable and cheap, because there are going to be other costs you have to pay to actually get going. And if you're thinking to yourself, okay, I just need to save up $2,700 to get an Arturia Polybrute, and that's going to be it. That's all I have to do. Well, unfortunately, no, there are other costs that go into this if this is your first hardware synthesizer. There are other costs, and it's important to factor that in, because if you realize the full cost of that synthesizer plus everything else, you might balk and go, okay, I just can't afford that. But unfortunately, what happens a lot of the times is people focus so much on that big number of what the hardware synth costs that they forget about the other stuff, and then they're in big financial financial trouble. I never recommend going into debt when it comes to synthesizers. If you have the money for synths, go ahead and buy them. God knows I have, but please, for the love of God, do not go into debt over synthesizers. It's not worth it. There are so many great budget-friendly synthesizers nowadays. We're living in the golden age of synths. It's perfectly fine to lower your expectations a bit because so many synths that are in the budget-friendly category nowadays sound amazing. That's my goal with these videos, and really for my entire channel, is just to encourage beginners to get into synthesis, but not to feel like they have to spend an arm and a leg to do so. I don't want anybody not to make music because they feel like they have to buy a really expensive analog synthesizer. My message to all the beginners out there is do not worry about expensive gear. There's a time and place for that later on when you're making money off of music. In the beginning, just get some basic stuff. It's all you need to get going and make awesome music. And because you've watched this far in the video, here's the 6th bonus hidden cost of buying synthesizers, which is fake plants and LED lights. Really, there's no fucking point buying a synthesizer if you're not going to surround it by these things, because these are what make the synthesizer sound good. And yeah, I'm an idiot and didn't realize I didn't have the microphone on, but this is my one-eyed blind cat Lemon. Definitely recommend a cat. Best accessory to a synthesizer there is. Nothing goes like a cat on a synthesizer in space. So if you've made it this far, please drop a cat emoji in the comments letting me know you watched the video to the end. I'm Vulture Culture, and if you want to watch this playlist, this is the best place to see all of my reviews and demos of all of the vintage synths I've had, plus some new stuff. And yeah, thank you for watching this video. I hope you found it helpful, and I'll see you in the next one.